Hi.
Again, Leslie. Just here to find out information about the Eiffel Oval, the
Yes,
orphanage that was
yeah.
there like 100 years ago.
Yes.
So
I have some books for you. In here there's some information. Here we are. Here's all the photos.
okay.
In here are the Hearts Appetizer, and you just find the year that you want, and then you put it onto the machine here, and you'll be able to see, you know, like we saw the clips of the fate and things like that.
Okay.
You might be able to see it in more detail in here.
The story began in 1869 when a Methodist minister, a young man called Thomas Bowman Stevenson, he was in ministry in London, and he saw the desperate plight of many children who were living on the street and dying often from exposure and poverty and hunger. And he started a small children's home just with 2 boys at first, somewhere near Waterloo Station, and then a couple of years later they moved to larger premises called Bonner Road in Bethnal Green. That was the beginning of the children's home, and then later they felt it would be better for the health of the children for them to move out of London and into the countryside, and the children's home were given this land all around here, large amount of land, to build a new children's home. The first children actually moved into Highfield Oval in 1913. There were about 300 children being looked after here. The children were looked after in family groups, and that was usually by ladies who were called sisters.
How does it feel like being back here again?
Oh, well, it's a little bit strange and a little bit familiar. It's a mixture, really.
Right.
It's, I lived in the bottom flat here.
This building?
Yes,
Oh.
in the bottom flat there.
Okay.
Yes. Before the war, I worked in a bookshop, and after that, I went into childcare, and then I came to Harpenden, and then I stayed here all the time. I had 10 or 11 children most of the time in my family group.
So this is now called number 4. I'm sure in
It,
your
well,
time...
it wasn't number 4 in my time.
Right.
It was flat 13.
Flat 13. Ah.
Yes. Originally, the houses all had names,
Okay.
and I think they were named after benefactors. I had 3 bedrooms. I had 3 beds in one room, 2 in another, and the big room, it varied according to the size of my family, but 4 or 5 beds in that room. You were always on duty, as a mother would be, you know. You call them in the morning and give them their breakfast, see them off to school.
In the beginning, and for a long time, this was really a self-contained community. They had their own school, their own bakery, they had printing works and lots of other things.
Well, I came here to the printing school in 1950.
Is it possible for you to show me the house, really? Do you remember the house that you stayed in?
I'd stayed here from September 1950 till January 1952.
But I think he came here, did he come here to work in the printing school?
I worked in the composing room of the print technical school, and there was about 25 in the composing room, 25 in the machine room, which was next. And of course the room we're in now is a bindery.
this is the place,
This was the bindery.
the bindery.
Then the middle room, middle great space was the machine room, and beyond that was the composing room. I did a little bit of designing as well. I designed a few things for the N.C.H.
Interesting. Really quite a journey.
It's a very satisfying life, very rewarding life, really, because the children remember you.
Quite a lot of the children that grew up here do come back here. Some have come from other countries, Australia and Canada, and they come back here because this was the only home they had known.
Some of the children who didn't have a parent or someone special of their own would have people who come to take interest. For instance, what's the name? John, was it John? He had a boy who used to come and visit him from time to time. He used to have him for weekends sometimes. And
well, the little boy came when he was 6, and we looked after him and came for weekends to stay with us. But the girls all came to us when they were 16, and they came as they had to leave here. So the moment they got 16, they had to find some other accommodation, and like one or two other people in Harpenden, we provided accommodation for them.
Because of changes in childcare and funding, the children in difficult circumstances were being looked after more in a family setting out in the community.
The children's home started running down in the early to mid-80s. The government of those days were talking about something different for looking after children and others who needed care, and they introduced what came to be known as care in the community.
they seemed to think that it was better for children to be fostered, is the word I'm looking for, fostered, and many children were fostered.
So they increased the amount of fostering that was taking place for foster children.
And by 1985, the work of looking after children here had really come to an end.
The N.C.H. felt that a change was necessary. Might have been 6 or 7 years, I can't remember. They considered this for some years, I know, and then they decided that they would go for a name like Action for Children, because it was action in the community for children in the community, rather than a children's home, you see. They're helping families to stay together, you see, rather than children being sent off to live somewhere else.
They come back here quite a lot and bring their children often to see the place which was their home, and they very much like it that it still looks the same as how they remember it.
I enjoyed every minute of it. I feel very privileged to being able to do it. Thank you. Yes, that's lovely. Thank you. Yes.